In Lesson 2, we're going to start taking a look at XLOOKUP, which is a new function in 2019 that is a replacement for the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions. So XLOOKUP is new in 2019, and it's a replacement for the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions. Of course, for those of you who haven't taken my previous classes, VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup, and HLOOKUP is horizontal lookup, and you can use those functions to look up values in another table. I'm going to show you a couple examples in a minute for those of you who haven't taken my older classes. But just a quick one, because I don't want to bore all the students who've seen it. It's Excel Expert Level 4 is the one you're looking for if you want to review the old VLOOKUP stuff. And here's a bunch of examples. I'm going to run through a couple of these really quick, but I cover a lot more information in this class if you want to learn how to use VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So after years and years and years of using HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP and having lots and lots of limitations on the things we can do with them, they came up with XLOOKUP, which fixes a lot of those shortcomings. One of the biggest things is XLOOKUP can look to the left or the right. With a VLOOKUP, you can only look to the right. So that's a big bonus right there. XLOOKUP can return multiple results instead of just one item at a time. You can do vertical or horizontal lookup. So this one function replaces both VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. You can do a reverse search, which means you can start from the front of the list or the bottom of the list, front or the back. That's handy if you're looking up like someone's most recent order, for example. XLOOKUP defaults to an exact match. It supports wildcards. You can specify a value if the item isn't found in your lookup list. That's handy. And for the more advanced users, XLOOKUP can return entire columns or rows, and it can work with arrays. Let's do a quick review of the old function VLOOKUP first. And VLOOKUP has been around for years and years and years. And the first thing I like to show is a basic exact match. An exact match says I've got a list of items, numbered items, for example, and I want to bring back an item that matches my search criteria exactly. And for this, I like to use weekdays. So the example that I used in my previous class is you've got a list of order IDs. All right, so order ID is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. And I'm going to align everything left. I hate that numbers go to the right and text goes to the left. You've got order dates. All right, and these dates could be like, 3, 5, 19, 5, 4, 13, and whatever. I just put a couple dates in here. The dates themselves are really irrelevant. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to get the weekday of each of those. I want to know what day of the week this order was placed on. Let's say, for example, you're doing sales charting and forecasting, and you want to figure out which days of the week might happen to be your busiest. All right, so the weekday. Now, Excel fortunately has a nice function called weekday. All right, that guy right there. That's weekday number 3. There you go. Now, the number here doesn't help me much. I want to put the actual day of the week here. All right, the name of it. So whether it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever. In order to do that, I have to be able to look that up somewhere else. So over here to the right, I'll make a little chart that's got the days of the week in it. So the weekday here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, and so on. We can autofill that down to 7. Right there. And the name is going to be, that's Sunday. And these you can autofill down too. That's one of those things that Access recognizes. All right, so there's my little chart, my little lookup table. All right, maybe we'll just make that yellow for now. There's my lookup table that I can use to take this number, look it up in this chart, get an exact match, which it should find this 3, and pull me back to Tuesday. All right, now how do you do this? Using VLOOKUP. All right, the old school is equals VLOOKUP. All right, the lookup value is this guy, comma. The table array, here's where you select the entire table. Now, the entire table array is this thing right here. Okay, comma. And then what column index number do you want? In other words, which column of that little table do you want to bring back? Well, I want to bring back column 2. All right, close it up, and then press enter, and there's a Tuesday. Now, if I grab this guy here and autofill it down, in this particular example, it looks like everything worked, but trust me, there's a problem here. Let's put another order on here. Let's go 6, 7, 20. All right, and let's fill that down a little bit more. And we get an NA. What happens is when you auto-fill down, the array for the table changes. For example, if you double-click here, look at it, pulls the table down too. So you can either use a named range for this, or you can fix this with F4, like that. That puts the dollar signs in there. I talked about those in a previous class too. All right, once you put those dollar signs in, then Excel doesn't change that array, and everything works fine. See? All right, so let's see. This will be our basic VLOOKUP example. Let's see how this works with XLOOKUP. So let's copy this guy. Right-click, and then come down here to Move or Copy. And we're going to create a copy, and we'll rename this one Basic XLOOKUP. There we go. All right, let's delete this stuff here, and we'll see how XLOOKUP is going to do the same job, but it's got a lot better stuff under the hood. All right, here we go. Same kind of principle. XLOOKUP. The lookup value. What are we looking up? I'm looking up that number right there. Comma. Where is the lookup array? All right. Right now, the lookup array is just this. There's the array of numbers that I'm looking up the value in. And again, I'm going to hit the F4 to fix it. All right, so we can go to an absolute reference there. So when we autofill, it doesn't mess things up. Comma. The return array. Right here. Separate range. And again, F4. Now you got some options in here. There's the value if not found. What do you want to put in there if the value isn't found? We'll get to that one later. There's match mode. There's exact match, wildcard match, right? Exact match or next smaller item or next larger item. We'll see these in a few minutes how this works here. And then you got search mode, first to last, last to first. Binary searches are a little weird. We'll talk about those later. We don't need any of these other options for now. Those are all, see how they're in brackets there in the help pop-up? Brackets means they're optional. If you don't specify those, you'll get the defaults. Close it up and press enter. Click, drag it down, and it looks like it works pretty much the same way. Now, there are some benefits. For example, if you move this guy over here, it still works. Look at that. That's one of the problems with VLOOKUP, is if this stuff moves around, it breaks the list. You know, if you have, undo that. If you insert some other column in here and you want to put some other data in here, like in your abbreviation, okay, like that. You didn't break your table because you've got two separate arrays here. Even if this guy, moves over here, the array is still the same, right? There's 7 items. Here's 7 items. It doesn't matter where the list is. Get rid of that. And that is why it also doesn't matter if you're going horizontally or vertically. XLOOKUP can figure that out. I'm not going to bother going through an example. You get the point. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Let's go to a blank page down here, a blank sheet. The next example that I like to give in my class is that of the student grades. It's this one, where we got the student, the final, let's say their final exam grade, and then the letter. We want to give them a letter grade. All right, let's run through this real quick with VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. All right, student, you got Bob, Mike, Sue, Bill, and whatever. All right, you've got their grade. All right, let's do 98, 54, 76, and a 0. All right, we want to give them a letter over here. And again, okay, let's make our little lookup table right over here. Okay, 0 is an F, 65 will give you a D, 70 gives you a C, 80 gives you a B, and 90 gives you an A. And there's my little lookup table right there. Okay. Again, with VLOOKUP, we can do it. VLOOKUP, the lookup value is this guy, comma. The table array is there. That's the whole table. And I'll fix it. F4. Comma. The column index number is number 2. and then close it up. All right, there's my A, and then drag it down. Now, the funny thing about this is that VLOOKUP has to be formulated this way. You have to have these values in order, otherwise it doesn't work. One of the nice things about XLOOKUP is that this list can be in any order you want. It can be reversed the other way around. So, for example, let's try this the other way around here. Let's try this, put them in reverse order. Let's see what happens. Whoops, I got to copy. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. All right, let's try that VLOOKUP the other way around here. Let's say that the range, let me get rid of this stuff here. All right, the range is now this. All right, comma 2. All right, look, see, it's not working. Okay, with VLOOKUP, your list has to be in the right order. Not so much the problem with XLOOKUP. So let's get rid of this. I'm not going to bother making 2 sheets here. Let's use this list here. This is more often how you're going to see a list, right? You're going to have A on top and then F on the bottom. All right, let's use XLOOKUP with this list now. All right, so equals XLOOKUP. All right, the lookup value is right there, comma. The lookup array, we're looking it up in this array right here, comma. The return array is right here. All right, and let's close it up and see what we get. No, I get NA. Why is that? I get all NAs except for the 0 of the F. Why is that? Well, that's one thing about XLOOKUP you got to keep in mind. XLOOKUP defaults to an exact match. All right. In other words, for you to get a value, that item has to be in this list, which wasn't a problem with this because all of the items are in that list. But here, you want to find a value kind of based in that range. Okay, and that's where VLOOKUP defaults to a range lookup. XLOOKUP is going to default to an exact. So we have to change this a little bit. Come over here. Comma. Don't worry about if not found for right now. Match mode is what we're looking for. All right. We want exact match or next smaller item. Okay. Next smaller item, that one. That puts a -1 in there. All right. Then there's search mode, which you can do first to last, last to first. We're not worried about that right now. All right. Press enter. And there's my A. And then drag it down. All right. Let's give this guy here a B. Let's give him an 85. There's his B. See, and I'm getting these. Let's see. Formula omits adjacent cells. Yeah, okay. I do this quite a lot. I forgot to fix my formulas in here. So F4 with these guys. Right? Okay. Enter. And drag it down. Okay. Gotta remember to use your absolute references. Otherwise, when you drag this down with autofill, it's not going to fix these. But there you can see now it's working, and it doesn't matter what order this list is in. We'll take a look at some more with XLOOKUP in the next lesson.